So what we're going to do today is Be'emes. It's a thing, and I was thinking about it today. Be'emes, and we got ourselves involved in a very heavy thing. I wasn't thinking clearly when we decided to do Nachi Daled. But Pesach, as Malan Iranian, so it has to be done. So we may as well do something proper. What we're going to do today is learn the union of air in a different Eifen than what we were learning till now. When we learned in Cheshvan about air and Shefa, we were really approaching air from one angle. So let's very quickly, in the Kudah, what was the Nakudah of that whole 3 weeks or month, however long we spent on safety mind days, and then we'll come to appreciate what we're doing over here is from a fresh angle, and that adds aimek in everything that we were doing in safety mind days. Is in the Kudus of Varmazeh. Es steht, da Ania Vaile Shanisi. Fragt sich der Scheile, Ania Vaile Shanisi, doch da Welt. And who might the question then is the etzimitzias of Welt is the spirit to the fact that Eibishter is a Yachid and Yuchid. He's not Echad. It's doch noch a Zach. But that's not the question of Shaftim. The question in Shaftim is that through the Hishavos we're making the world. So therefore the Hishavos itself makes a shini in the Eibishter, the actual Tmur of Hishavos. Okay, that was the question. The answer to that question is, as is air. And once you say air means bites, ha'arabel vat. So the type ha'arabel vat is that it's not really a metzias. Und derfar, it's singan nicht tevus. So it's still true to say ani avayel shani. Ice is do a Welt. The Welt comes from air. Any shmei mein air. Ice is do air. Air. What's the gather of air? Air is bottle. It's a horrible vat. It's finished to metzias. That's the nekudas achiluk between air and shefa. Shefa is a metzias dover. Air is nicht to metzias dover. Now, what's the touch that air is not metzias dover? So, bezeh gufe is kama v'kama biurim, and the way we're going to learn in our Mamer is really a new emek in the whole Havana, what it means that air is not metzias dover. Once we have this word, the chiluk between the new understanding of what's pshat that it is not metzias dover, we're going to have a new dead head in the Taich Atzilus. Till now we were touching the difference between Atzilus and the eyes of Pashas, so Keiches and Zolavusha. Keiches means that it's connected. I identify with my Keach. Nochmer, like we looked yesterday, the Keach in Yonis Malchatchil doesn't have any other Indian besides for Nefesh. Is a Nafshi is dikir. So that's the Taich Chesed Atzilus, the Gurud Atzilus. It's an Indian, it's a Liki. And in Yoni is Legalis Atzilus, it doesn't have any other. The way we're going to learn now, once we understand the word of air, in a different way, we're going to look at Atzilus and Andre. Okay. So, in order to get there, we're going to have to do this in a Masudadi cave. So first, let's be making the way it works in our Mamer is, in our Mamer, he brings air from a different direction, a new discussion of air, and then we're going to progress to come back to the way we spoke about air, and we're going to combine the two bigger. And from the combination is going to come out a new Havon. So let's just make this clear so it's easy to out. We're going to approach air from a different direction now, not the way we learned it in Shafim. Once we're going to say that, we'll come back to Shefim, and the combination is gonna make a new element in and also in this beer itself. In order to bring out what's the mila of this new beer, we're gonna have to say 4 madregas, 4 shlavim in the Havana of the bittul of it. And the chiddush over here is it's gonna be the hexter efen in the way we understand it. And this is not saying over any nevuah or creative thinking. This is all Shadai 9 base. It's club in the Mamer of Shabbos Shuva Ein Vov. It's Mamer right at the end of Chilik base. It's one of the last Mamorim of Ein base which was said. Anechi Tofresh Ein Vov. And it's good to check out the Mamer after our discussion over here. Okay. So first, what's the word of Eir? In many places, and like we said, when we discuss Inyan of Eir or trying to explain what's all the course, so there's the basic Mamorim from the Rabbi which deal with this. And one of them is the Inyan of Havin Inyan in Sof from the Tzemach Tzedek or Erater Yonim. There's a few maduras of the same Mamer. It's the same Mamer in Kappa. If I'm weiß, the Tzemach Tzedek rebuched on the Inyan more than one time. And this shtickle over here is miyus on that. There's a difference between Eir and Keyach. Keyach is the type that in Yoni is to be separate. If I throw a stone, what's the chiddush? I could take a piece of myself and I could press it on something else, on a stone, and the stone is going to move. And that is my Keyach to be pale with makim zor. The real type Keyach is not just that I'm being pale and makim zor, nor my actual Keyach is to be delivered to the makim zor. The fact is that there is my energy which left my hand, and the stone is now being elevated. It's still flying in the heaven, and the Keyach left my hand, and it's there. So it's not just it's me in my place being pale on that. It's never a piece of me left me and went to the makim zor. Eir is punkt verkehrt. Eir is the type dog. The gender of Eir is that it's impossible for Eir to be separate from the Moed. Like say, if there's an animal stirim, it's not going to be shy for it to be Eir. There's no such thing as giving Eir. Eir is the type Moed. Bichlal, I never gave you Eir. When I gave you Eir, the type is that now you could see Moed. Or the Besignen Acher, I gave you Moed. How? Through Eir. Because Eir is not a thing for itself. In Yoni he's double to Moed. That's really what he is. Therefore, once we have this Agdara in the chiluk between Eir and Keyach, so we're going to have now a new Havana in the Taich Atzilus and Bia. And this is the pashtus, the kepshat words in the Tzemach Tzedek. The way I understood Atzilus till now is I was looking to be magdir what's the Taich Chesed Atzilus. So we started off 2 days ago. The gather of Chesed Atzilus is as the Eibishter Kaviyachel looks at it as what happens in Chesed Atzilus happened in me. It's not the Taich is to dog for an Atagiver. It's a Nemtmir. A Tivra Taich, the way we said yesterday is, it's not the Taich, not it's a Nemtmir, I identify with it. Not the gather of Chesed Atzilus, the Chatchila, calling Yana is, it's Aliki. That's what it is. Now, I'm saying a Tifra Prat. How does Atzilus come about? It's through Eir. How does Biyah come about? Through Keyach. Bekeyach Ha'agor. Mitzad Shorsham, in other Sherish Avusam, the way Atzilus is made, is Nachmer. It's impossible for it to ever be separate because the Melachat Chilas is nicht gesagt for sich. It's not a thing, like I say, it's a thing which the mocker is nitfus by. It's also not a thing which Colin Yoni is legal is that. Was is He is the Hachana dopok for that. It was bepashtos. It will say this in 3 stages. There is the way I could say, as how does Guf look at Nefesh? Sorry, how does Nefesh look at Guf? Who are you? I could express myself in you. So that is how does Guf look at Nefesh? That Guf doesn't have any other Indian besides for Nefesh. That's what we said yesterday. Aber kann ich fragen entscheiden, is Guf dovuk the Nefesh? Does Guf come from Nefesh? Guf is in Melachatchila. Because I say there's nothing else over here besides for Nefesh. What's that? Guf, if I look at Guf, I see Guf. Elamai, Kolinyani is Galis and Nefesh. So therefore, you can't have a separate Tzias besides from the Nefesh. You can't exist out and separate from the Nefesh. But the Geder of Guf is not Nefesh. It's his Tachlis. It's not what he is. Masha'inkin, this is who I am. My muhus is, I am Dovuk Ba'amor. That's why I am. I don't have any other name. Let's say it better. It's not just that this is my whole Indian. That could be that this is my mator. It's not my mator. It's my I never had anything else. I'm going to look now differently at the Taich Chesed Batilis. What's the Taich when I say? As the Eibishter is a Guter, the Eibishter is a Giber, the Eibishter is a Yedeya. All these different yarnim, which we know in Gvul of the Eibishter is an Faran, Shem Yeshake built about Gvul, therefore he also has this in Yom. This is Eibishter. It's done to the Eibishter. There's no such thing as Atzilus. Atzilus is as Sila Kira Rodla Latzad, then Chazar Veheir. Chazar Veheir is the Taich Lekav. It's the Taich Egili of the Eibishter. It's the Taich the Eibishter is coming now and expressing himself in this Eifim, it's him. So if I'm going to ask the question, could I have Chesed Atzilus outside of Eibishter? It's not just because Chesed Atzilus doesn't have any other meaning. It doesn't make sense, Bechla. Melachatchila, if he's Eir doesn't. Could I have Gilu without being Megal something? Umemela, this Havana, this gives a tiffer Havana in the Achtas Hashem. Whenever we discuss, this is really what the Alter Rebbe in Tanya in Shaykh Emunah in the second half, what the Alter Rebbe is dealing with. Shaykh Emunah Bichlal deals with 2 in Yom. This is the whole first half of Shaykh Emunah dealing with Achtas Hashem Mitzad, dealing with the stira that Sedah felt. So how the Eibush still be Echad. And the second half is how are the spheres? The answer is now spheres are not a separate thing. Like he says in Big Yudo over there in Shaykh Emunah Barichis. Because the spheres are air, so Mamer, they don't have a separate music. So I don't call it anything else. Thus is out the pashtus what I'm coming to explain. So it's nothing to do with the sugya that we learn to shape the mind base. Over there, with the way we were learning air is as air is our honorable vad. It's a nishkin gereis mitzvah. It's a gornustan. It's a gorashvachem mitzvah. Over here we're saying, not horrible vad, nor sis dovuk. On what is dovuk, therefore, kolinyoni is the eldin. And this teaches us a depth in the avona of Atzilus, which is, again, just to make it clear, when he says Hashem, and then you say Hashem is strong, or Hashem is knowledgeable, The fact that he's strong and knowledgeable is him. And therefore, when I'm learning the Marshal Chachmasi of the Eibishter, which comes from Atzilus, it's him, because Eir is Davuk. Okay. Over here, this Mamer, the Rebbe takes this word of the Tzemach Tzedek, the Dveikus of Eir, and makes a new Emek in this type of Dveikus. And the way this emek happens is by connecting the two biyur. In other words, there is the word of horrible vat, there is the word of dveikus. These two inyan together are going to produce a new emek in the bittul of Eir, of Mela, a new emek in water tachatzitz. Okay. Yeah. So let's do this Pashut, behektem one akdama, and then we're going to go through the four madrigas. Like we said, we're going to go through the words and names. The difference kiyodua between Atzilus and Biyah, that was discussed in many Mamorim, and actually in this Mamer we started learning just before we left, is Elokus b'Pshitis and Elokus b'Eschavs. What's the type of Atzilus? Atzilus is Das Salim. It's the way the English looks at the world. That's the type of Atzilus. No, it's a perspective of sometimes we say Yichilot. The Lashon is Das Salim. Mashiach in Biyah is Das Tach. Which is the difference between Eir and Keich. Eir is the Taich, and in Yoni is the English. So this is my perspective. Keich is a Taich that I am being Messiachas to the stone that's being thrown. I'm being Messiachas to a Metzius outside of me. Is much. What we're going to do over here is, sorry about that. What we're going to do over here is have a tifra havana in the types that Atzilus is dasal. So let's begin with Pashtus. What's the type that Eir is bottle? What's the bittul of Eir? The Pashtus is that Eir recognizes Moir. He knows who Moir is. And Shrage B'Tira Mayan, compared to Moir, Eir hat nicht kein Bateref. Therefore, Eir is bottle legamre to Moir. So when we say that Eir is not Tevis Makim, we always have to say when Eir could be Tevis Makim is only Michutz LaShemesh. Because b'Makim HaShemesh, there is no such thing as it. What's a type? Gili Moir in Moir. So therefore, it doesn't really have a Metzius. Whenever we say this is do the Metzius from Eir in the Moir, the Skalus of Ziv HaShemesh B'Shesh says in our places that it's not that actually exists over there. It's how could it be that it should be the union of Gili of a thing in the thing? But what we're saying is that Eir is what we're saying is that is the Tnuah of Gili, the potential, whatever the Avan is, but Eir in the place of Shemesh, in the place of Moir, can't have an Metzius. So and not the Pashta Avan. Just like a Talmud b'fnei Rabbi, before Chacham Gadol, can't be a Metzius. Now, that's the Pashtus. A Tiferet in the bittul of Eir to Moir, it's not just I don't have a Metzius because he's be'en arech to me. I don't have a Metzius because I'm totally on him. So I don't have any independence. There's nothing to give me my validity, my union, if he's not giving it to me. So it's like saying, why is it a Talmud bottle to the Rav? The reason is because the Rav ben Arechtim. a chacham gadol and a chacham gotten is bein arich. Or an ant walks into the room, I'm not going to say that I now have company. Why? Because the chatchil is in the smoking. But him and his wealth, there is a place when an ant will walk out of the room, and when I'm going to inspect him, he will be smoking. Because Kilonema, there is a mitzvah he is. It's just betira mayahan. Masha'ain came. What we're saying over here is there is no place for you to run away to, because you're double. You don't have any other meaning. You come from the Moed. If there would be an animal masirim, you can't exist. When do you exist? When there is Moed. So you're totally in him. Once I say you're totally, so that's a tip for a bit. These two biurim is the difference when we say en arech lecha and when we say en zulascha. En arech lecha means I'm en arech to you, but pastures. En zulascha means there's nothing without you, because without you I can't be. En arech doesn't mean that there's en zulascha. There is. It's just I'm much smaller. En zulascha means it's impossible for me to be without you. So that's a tiferet bit. The emes is over as der het noch a sach mehr von. The bit of is as ein so losa. Lass mich fragen. And if yes so losa, or other fakir mit der Eibster. An der Eibster kann ich sein. Und mit der Eibster could there be? So yeah, obviously. The Zrik Seven. He can't be without the Zedek, and he can't be without the Keich Zedek, but when there is the Keich Zedek, is the Zedek Zedek? For sure. So it's a Metzius, which calling Yoni is totally on the market. Really, the real pshat is, as here, what is my Metzius? My Metzius is more. If I'm going to properly inspect I don't have any other inyan besides one. Zerikis Ha'evan has another inyan besides Zerik. So therefore, it says, though the Mitzvah is from Zerikis Ha'evan outside, he may be totally ein Zolascha. On the Zerik can sein Zerike. Aber la'achar Zerike can sein Zerike. Because there's a Zerik, there is a Zerike. If I'm going to look at it, is there such a thing called Eir? Eir doesn't show anything besides from Moed. Kumteis, it's Efes Biltecha. There's nothing besides from Eir. There's nothing besides from Moed. There's Eir. Eir is Eichet Moed. Eir doesn't say anything besides from Moed. And this union of Efes Biltecha is only going to be true when I get Eir. It's not going to be true when I get anything else. Because there's nothing else in the world which I don't have any other opinion besides for my market. Everything is, I owe my mitzvahs to my market. But who am I? I am me. Calling Yali canal. Verchukaf is not in Yali is legalis amor. If I look at him, I see more. I don't see everything. Like we went through Baruch, nobody's ever seen light. When the light's on, you could see a room. Gili is not a thing. Gili is megal or something. So what's Gili amor? More. So is nicht gemessiert für sich. So how we touching out in Yali is Efes Biltecha. Now, could say more than that? We went through over here that I am nothing compared to Moir. I'm a ganzen Toli of Moir. Nishna am Toli, in Yoni is the Moir, so therefore Efes Biltecha. Could say more than that? No, I mean, what could I be more than saying I don't exist and the only thing is you? So here we have to think from a different direction. Let's stop having a conversation with Eir. Let's ask Moir what he thinks. Moir, what's your opinion about Eir? Does Eir exist? So the real answer is, Moir will tell you, no. Now, if I ask you Moir, could you explain yourself? Why is there no such thing as Eir? Because he's so small back to you, because he's tullying you, because he's calling Yoni is legal is you. If I'll ask him more, he won't understand the question. In the world of Mechuyev Metzias Nimza is nicht in Sach. Lass uns sagen noch mehr. We know that this is not the whole Indian of Moed. Sometimes even say more than that. It's not the whole Indian of Atzmos that he is the Moed. Is if I'm going to ask Atzmos himself, is there such a thing as Eir? He's going to tell you that Eir begins from where I'm Moed. Where there's a market for Eir in me. But that's not really me. So if you're asking me, so Eir doesn't really have a Metzias. That's the opinion of Moir. Is Lesikum, is Dokilo Neymar, drei Madreges in Eir, and the fourth Madrege is not Eir's opinion, but Moir's opinion. And the embassy is, if we're talking broader terms, we know that the Chlaus is there, and everything is four shlavim. There's the Elemus Abiyah. What's the type of Abiyah? That there's Atzilus, which is the Mocker, and then there is Negili, there's three shlavim. So this is really the way we're talking over here. There's three shlavim in A, three madregas of Bittul in A, and then there is Moir, three Moir. So Dokil the Biyah of A, and then there's Moir. If we'll touch it up properly in our language, of what's the touch always? The Chemetzura Tikkun, the three madregas in everything. So there's always where the Tachtin is Mutter is Makim, the Elyon is Mutter. So Al Derech is over here. The lowest madrega is the way, there is I. Elamai, there's something big. That is the bittul, the way I would say a seer of Eir talks. There's I, and there's my yachas with other things. It begins with my mitzvahs. So it's not just a bittul of Einareich, it's a bittul of Ezel. Means there's I, and there's the thing. I need him. So it's kilo in the world of bittul, both of us. Then there's a music as Eir Link in the Eir Efes Dutecha, which is al derech, what we would call the bria of Eir. As how could Eir be in ganz bittul? Ich hab sich not verloren that is in bria we're talking about the way Yeshus is bittul. Over here we're talking about the way bittul is bittul. How is Eir bittul? The bittul over here is as a chalech bittul. Calling Yoni is him. In Yoni is more. And then there is the way Moir looks at things as a nicht, is bittul, is kol, is nicht. Nicht talking, nicht das Sache. Leizo, Indian Atzmus, Indian Amor, she needs some away. Now here comes the question. Is it shaykh that Eir should there have this Indian of Moir? Could Eir have this thing? So the pastor says no. No. By definition. Eir cannot der Herren, wie ich bin bot. Eir kann nicht der Herren, as is da art while Hachana not bezocken. How could that be? A person can't jump higher in his own head. I can't in Yoni should be Moir. or if we'll speak in the Hagdaras of Siddur, I could only be bottled to my mocker from where I come from in my mocker. I come from the part of Moed, which is the mocker fire. Could I be bottled to Moed himself? Moed himself there, I don't have ich gefinde sich nicht dort. I don't have a shaykh. So how could I say that? And this is the chiddush over here. And the Mamer, it's already in Tzadik Daled, and it's in Ayin Beis. Over here, the way the Rabbi says it is, it's like with a geschmack twist. That the Rabbi says yes, Eir could be bottled to Moer the way Moer looks like. Nicht in der Eifen that Einzel los of in Arechlecha. Und nicht in der Eifen von Einzel los. Und auch viele nicht in der Eifen von das Bildlecha. In der Eifen von der Eibischter allein. How could that be? So the word is as if we go back to this biur, the way that Tzemach Tzedek described Eir, as Eir is Dveikus. Because the word of Eir is Dveikus, so therefore the inyan habitl of it, the ha'ara bilvad, takes on a new meaning. Dveikus means ich bin bottled to Moir. Which part of Moir? Kol ha-Moir. I'm bottled to the Moir is the touch, I'm bottled to Kol Inyoni ha-Moir. Any inyan says no in Moir zu em bin ich doch. It's not my mocker, so what? Inyoni is him. If there's a part of Moir which says I don't exist, I also say that. Mitzad adveikus in Moir, kommt es an naye der Herr in ha'ara bilvad. Why do I consider myself a nothing? Not because of who I am, because the way Moir looks at me. How could you look at the way Moir looks? And a normal nibra, a normal Omul can't look at himself the way his Ilo looks at him. I could look at him the way I look at him. I could look at myself. But because Yoni is Dveikus, so calling Yoni is a Moir and he's double to the Moir, therefore he's going to look at himself when Moir looks at him. And that's the Chiddush that we're saying over here. Eir is going to say, Hu levadi hu ve'inzulas. I'm going to say the way Atmos looks at it. Let's touch us in our volume Atzilus. Says Dovim Mizakt as Atzilus says Einel Mavadi. Says Kus Bipshitis. That's telling. So what's a touch that's telling? The way air talks. So but don't listen to Atzilus. It's not Atzilus. Could Atzilus say what Atzilus says? No. He's air, he's not more. The Kiddush over here is no. Atzilus is saying what Atzilus says. You're not him, so what? Air could say what Moir says without having his shaykhs to it. So Atzilus is really saying, I don't exist. That's the bittul of Atzilus. When we say Elam Atzilus, it's Elam of bittul, it's Elam of Achdus, the touch is that it's a world where he himself says he doesn't exist. In other words, Chesed Atzilus is not saying, I am come from the Nefesh, I'm nothing b'yachas tetzana Nefesh, I mit inyan legalis Nefesh, alle gute Sachen. Chesed Atzilus says Nefesh. How does Nefesh look at me? As is our Ba'alme. That's how I look at myself. Mitzad Adveikus. Now, where is this going to express itself? So the Rebbe doesn't discuss it over here, but there's other places in Yosef Klyne, there's other places where there's a Pashto expression for this. We know that the Teva of Eir is Ba'aliu. That's the rule. We always say. Eir is nicht a Metzias Farzich. Eir doesn't want to be. Only mitzvah kelim or mitzvah kavana, there's a shuv, but it's unnatural. Why does the Eir want to be Bali? L'chura over there, I'm going to stop existing. What's the teretz? So, one way of understanding is because over there I'm going to be more than mitzvahs. I'm going to be shaykes that are a greater thing. Oh, but that's pashut, and the way it's in Tanya is that it's the teva of the Eir to fall in the mitzvahs. So why do in other words, it's an Indian of bittul. It's not like it's an Indian of he's doing a business deal over here. He thinks he's going to get that better place. It's mitzvah a bittul of Eir. I lose myself. Fragt the Shaila, why is losing himself? Lefi kol hamavur is verstandig, because der hears that my Indian is not me, my Indian is the Moir. And what does Moir say? I don't exist. If Moir said I don't exist, I also say I don't exist. So therefore I have to stop being. How could I stop being? The way I could stop being is by becoming less. Let's touch this up. So we went through 4 madregas over here in the bittul of Eir. Let's touch up maybe in a pashto muscle in unser Dorf. What's that touch? Moiz where a shliach, a chassid is megal there. So what's a chassid? Neiris loir. Neiris loir lamternchik. In Yoni is legalis Eir. And like Rebbe said, then in the Sikha, what's the taich? Is lamternchik? He has to know that the Eir is nicht sein. He has to know that the Eir is, he's being megal someone else's Eir. Otherwise, the Rebbe said. So that's the gather of a chassid. That's the way the Rebbe Rashab described in that Fabrengen, das a chassid. The Shaila is how could the chassid be megal more? Is on them come eifan. One eifan is that he says that I'm nothing b'yachas to them. I'm not metzias farzich. Second, I'm not. I tell somebody else you should know as the Rebbe is ben arech, and you know me, and you see a yid, a Yerushalayim, a land, and all Sachen. The Rebbe is ben arech, and I'm megal of that. If by me it's murgish, the Rebbe is ben arech, so I'm being megal of the Rebbe. Because I'm a horrible. A different Indian is when you look at the chassid, and the chassid says, "Ich kann nicht sein a chassid on them to have a Rebbe." They get their other chassid is a Rebbe. If a person meets a Lubavitcher chassid, and this chassid, he can't have a life without them. He can't live a day without learning the Rebbe's Torah. He can't. This is his marker of life. He's davuk. My metzias is mechatchila nicht kein andere Sache. I can't have anything. So you can see over here that he needs something else. He needs the more. So that, like this, the person who is being mekarev is meeting the Rebbe much more. When you're telling me that the Rebbe is ben arech, so this person would say, you know what? Okay, it could be the Rebbe is ben arech, but for me, you're still good. For me, you're good. You're more learned than me. You're my rabbi. Sagst du mir that you have your own rabbi? Okay. But for me, I could still find him in arech. Fine. Obviously, you are metzias. Mashenki, when I say in Zulascha, no. I can't be without the Rebbe. Then, sof, they say, okay, you can't be without the Rebbe, but because of the Rebbe. And there are times when you learn the Rebbe's Torah and you travel to the Rebbe and you do all your things. Now, you do exist. So therefore, I could be your Talmud. In sof, you are a Metzias. This Shliach is a Metzias. A different is when the Shliach doesn't say Ein Zoloscha. The Shliach says, I'm not a Shliach which became a Shliach of the Rebbe. Melachatchil, there's no such thing as Shliach and Chassid on the Rebbe. What's the type of Chassid? I says, the Rebbe. On the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is the goal. If you look at me, you hear me talking, I don't have anything to say if it's not what the Rebbe said. So it's not just the Taiches that without the Rebbe I don't exist, with the Rebbe I don't exist. Because Kol and Yoni, I don't have anything, there's nothing else over there. If you meet me, there's nothing I've given you, which is not really that I'm just passing on what the Rebbe is saying. Now, la'achre, this whole Seder Shtashnos, the Chassid is still frustrated. Why? Because this Yid will tell the Chassid, said, excellent. Therefore, I love you. I like listening to you. You like your Divrei Torah and your lichtig upon him. You're telling me that you are the Rebbe. You are the Rebbe over here. So therefore, I like you. So really, the Eir is not being Megale Moir Alibedemis. The truth is, this Chassid thinks to himself, he understands, Alibedemis is the Taiches. That my holding, the Rebbe himself, I don't exist. The Yachas of the Rebbe himself, and that's something which I can't give over to you. How could I deliver this inyan to you? So there's only one eitzah for the Chassid to do that. He has to pack his bags and tell his Mukurev, I'm leaving. Where are you going? I'm going to Zichfalim. I'm going to a place where over there I don't exist. There's a Rotzi. There's the Aliyah of the air. And over there, because I stop existing, what's that going to be an expression of? It's going to express the fact as in the air, it's on Vimor Kuktafim. What's Murgish by a Chassid in 1070 as the Ninja touches as calling Yoni is the Moir. Over here, there's only Moir. There's Tak only Moir. The only way I could do my job to übergeben the Rebbe Alein is through Zichfalim, through Rotzi, through going away. Komtais as because Eir is Dovuk, so the Taichin Ha'ar Bilvat means something else. What's the bittul? The message of Eir, I'm bottled because I look at myself the way Moir looks at me mitzad advekus. And this in Guf is expressed through the Rotzi of Eir. The way the Eir verliert sich is Eilate is Moir.